Welcome to Building My Legacy podcast. This podcast is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to leave a legacy and will provide strategies that focus upon key elements for legacy creation, determining your desired impact and its benefit, increasing your legacy's reach by engaging key stakeholders, planning, prioritizing, and executing. Here's your host, Dr. Lois Sonstegard.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Mandy Tucker. She comes to us out of the UK, right near Gatwick, right?
That's right.
Yeah. She is director of an IT department for Hertz in the UK. And she also works with leaders, women especially, in the workplace who are looking to move upward, who are looking at how do they deal with their career, manage it more effectively. So it really meets what their challenges are, their personality, what it is that they want to accomplish, their mission and values in life. So Mandy, with that, I'm going to let you share your story and what got you into doing all of this. And then,
Thank you.
And then some of the things that you're currently doing.
Great. Thank you so much, Lois. It's really great to be here and to be speaking to your audience. So as you said, I've been in the corporate arena for 25 years now, and I've loved my journey, but it has been a journey of navigations, trying to work out my best path to work upwards, because that's always been my goal, to really sort of to move up the leadership ladder. And I think as time's gone on, I've really been frustrated with how difficult that can really be sometimes, especially for a woman of colour, but also just for women in general. And being furloughed this last year, as many women and many people have been, it's really sort of highlighted for me the support that people need in their careers. And I've had a long passion of really breaking into the coaching space, and that's what I've done. I work with middle management leaders who are trying to move upwards, but I also mentor and really help to shape the careers of university students and graduates with some mentoring that I do as well. So that's kind of a short bio about me.
Wow. For university students right now, that's a real gift, because so many of them feel a little bit rudderless, trying to figure out where to begin, where are the opportunities, and not feeling trapped into just taking anything. So tell me, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges people face right now?
I think it's really about knowing what opportunities are out there, because it's such a crowded marketplace, as we know. And it's really about making sure that you are visible enough. And that's one of the things that I coach on. So yes, having a crowded market, really knowing where to position yourself and making sure that you don't feel pressured into taking things and working, securing positions that really don't fit with your values and your passion place. So that's one of the things that I coach on in one of my programs. Is the initial step is really doing the career mapping and understanding where you want your career to go before you kind of step out. And that's really about identifying your passions, what you love to do, what the goal setting needs to be around that, how you're going to map that out, and making sure you then got the support around that. Because I think only then, Lois, will you hopefully end up on the right trajectory in terms of your career.
So what do you think keeps people from being able to do that? I mean, it sounds easy. It sounds like something we'd all love to do, right?
Yes, definitely. And it's not that easy. And I think that's what you see. People start off their careers like I did many years ago, and you meander around. You might take this position, that position, and then find yourself mid-career feeling a little bit like a ship out of water, and you're not sure what to do. I think there are a few reasons for that. Sometimes, from our family dynamics, we're put into positions where we feel we have to go down a particular path. A lot of the times it's, the academic path. Should you be, the doctor, the lawyer, that kind of thing. But equally, it's around putting pressure on yourself, around monetary expectations and wanting to build families and stuff like that. And I think the great thing about where we are now economically and just how the world is going in terms of technology, there are so many people who are finding their passion place through entrepreneurship, which is great. And also in terms of balancing the two, your 9 to 5 and your entrepreneurship. So I think, yeah, there are still some challenges. And I think around the career mapping, it's those things that kind of keep us from really looking at deeply what we want to do. And that's really how I try to encourage people to move forward.
So in a sense, that's having two careers at once. When you have your day job, right? And then you have your evening job of trying to develop a business. So tell me, how do people navigate that?
So it's not easy. It's time consuming, especially if you have families or commitments outside of your 9 to 5. There's definitely an element of how you structure it. And again, you start with, what are you trying to achieve? What are your objectives? And then it started to plot that out. So I had my 9 to 5 and I understand what my organization corporate objectives are. But in terms of my business, it's really about who am I trying to serve? What are my short-term and long-term goals, and mapping those out? And that is about really, Lois, making down to the minute detail, really. In my office, I have the Kanban board that has all the details and the different parts of what I'm trying to achieve. So it's being organized, really finding support in terms from your family and friends in terms of what you are trying to achieve, because it's a long journey you're embarking on, and really taking the small wins. And I think that's what we need to do in all parts of our lives. Every step towards our success is a step forward. So small wins, congratulating yourself on those, marking those small wins will spur you forward.
So mapping, what does that look like? Because many people talk about mapping. And so for when you talk about mapping out your career path, what does that look like?
So that's, for me, is about setting those milestones. So usually it's around, what does the 6 month to a year look like? What does the 5 year look like? And beyond, if you wish to go that far. But it's once you understand the passion place that you're working from. So for example, if you want to be a public speaker, or you want to set up a business, it's really about understanding, once you know that, what are the milestones to get you there? So for the next 6 months, what do you need to do to move you forward? That may be training, that may be extending your network, that may be reaching out to someone to maybe appear on their podcast. Setting those goals out are going to be really pivotal and fundamental to get you moving. And then those goals need to have milestones attached. I mean, it's like any project plan in IT, right? You need to be really methodical about setting milestones and then having your cheerleader squad and those people that are going to support you on that journey. And lastly, I probably would say is it's about knowing once you've got there, because you're not going to necessarily have everything perfect within the first year, second year, whatever. It's knowing, okay, well, I've got to this pot. Now I need to go back and remap and work out what my next set of goals look like. And that's how I do the career mapping exercise. And I think what it helps to do is to really create that vision in your mind around visualizing where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about visualizing is so important, because then once you visualize it, you can start to walk into that picture.
That's right. Really embody it, right?
Yeah, and take on the behaviors that are part of that, because you
Definitely
can't take the job and suddenly get the behaviors.
Definitely.
They come first.
Yeah, and I think in the corporate space especially, you need to be able, one, it's around role modeling, being able to see those people that you aspire to be. And it's also about your brand, how you bring your brand to life, and what are the attributes that really create that brand for you. And like you say, it's then the modeling and the creation of that. And that, when I coach my clients, it's about, yes, it's the personal embodiment of those attributes, but it's also how you show up on social media, whether you're posting, how you create your visibility to the world and what you're trying to really portray. So if you're a leader, what are the attributes of that leader? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do they respond? And once you start to embody that, you'll really be creating a standout brand for yourself. What
is it that keeps people from being able to do that, Mandy?
So I recently did a masterclass on the 4 elements of a great career, which for me is career mapping, being impactful, leadership, and then your branding. And there was a great debate about how do you brand yourself and still be authentic. I think one of the things that stops people creating a brand that really works for them and that they can leverage is because we're too busy looking at what others are doing and trying to recreate what someone else is. Yeah, who someone else is, how that person talks, how they write, or how they lead. It's really understanding who you are at the core of yourself and your values. So is it the values that you embody? Is it integrity? Is it being trustworthy? Is it collaboration? Once you understand who you are at your core, it's a lot easier to then identify the key attributes around that brand. And I think also, Lois, it's about consistency. I think, branding is one of those things that maybe is a little bit airy-fairy for people. I mean, executive presence is another way, as you know, that you can actually bring that to life. I think unless it's consistent, people are unable then to necessarily trust you, especially in the corporate world, and they just don't know what you stand for. If one day you are embodying one thing and the next day it's another. So consistency is key.
And that's one of the hardest things, isn't it? So are there disciplines that you look to help people be really consistent?
Yeah, I think consistency for me is about, like I said a bit earlier, it's about those small wins every day. So we know quite a bit about journaling and affirmations. I think that's really important to start your day well, and to make sure that you are affirming what you are trying to achieve every day. So that might be writing in your journal that today I will embody leadership. I will engage empathetically with my team. I will write 5 emails to my boss that show I'm in control. Whatever you're trying to portray, make sure you affirm it daily, and then it helps you to move forward on that path. The other thing is around how you deal with failure and the inconsistency. So one day, if you find that you've fallen off the bandwagon and you didn't really embody those characteristics, it's really about going back and working out why. What happened? Was I tired? Did somebody speak to me in a way I wasn't happy with, and then I didn't sort of respond in the right way? Really targeting in what you're doing daily, understanding where you may have gone off track a little, and then you are able to then pull yourself back in and say, right, well, this is what I will do tomorrow. So I think don't be too hard on yourself. Every day is a new day. And I think, beyond that, you will continue to move forward.
So part of what you're saying requires a tremendous amount of reflection. You have to have that willingness to be honest, brutally honest with yourself in order to make the corrections that are needed. So how do you help busy people? Type A personalities often is what, the people who are moving for upward promotion or to start their own entrepreneur business, as well as there's a drive. So how do you take people who are driven for results to pause and reflect?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, Lois, this is a great one, especially, as you say, for those type A personalities who are really focused on ambition and really reaching their goals urgently. And I think there are a few things. So reflecting on your success is really going to help you to move forward. So every little success should be a major milestone to you. That's really what I would encourage people to do. And also the experience, right? What have you learned from those experiences that you can take into the next part of your planning or journey, whether it be within the corporate space or not? Every experience gives us a learning, and I think those things are really important. And for a type A personality, the mindset is going to be key. You're forever going to be wanting to rush forward urgently. You want to get everything done today. And I think that's where the mindset shift in terms of this is, this is maybe a longer journey than you're used to. It's really going to help you to be successful. And I suppose lastly, to set bold actions and measures, yes, but as I say, it's going to be a longer journey. So really shifting your mindset in terms of that is going to help you continue on that journey, because it's easy, right? Especially as someone who's used to achieving things quickly and boldly, to give up if you don't see that success early on. So I think those are the things that I would encourage you to work on.
So when you work,
and can I say one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
One more thing is really, I think we've all kind of come to this nirvana and epiphany that we can shortcut a lot of things in our lives and in our businesses. So I think, especially if you're a type A, you're going to want to do things quickly and really execute. Shortcut those things that you do not need to do, that you can learn from the internet or learn from others, and that will, really help to move your trajectory quickly in the right direction.
I think that's so true, because when you have that type A personality, you want to snap your finger and have it done today. And when you're your own boss and you're developing your career, you're your own boss of your career. If you're being an entrepreneur, you're creating your own business, your own boss, yes. The boss of others, perhaps. But that sense of how do you really structure that so you can take people with you instead of burning them out because you're moving like a Mack truck, right?
Yeah. And I think if you're, especially with a team, it's the most important thing is to bring your team with you. And I think that is really about setting the right goals and measures. So incrementally, you can see what the success looks like. And really remembering that you are working with many different personalities, people who have their own agendas. So it's creating a vision that everyone can gravitate towards. And those kind of methods work in the workplace and entrepreneurially as well. Setting big, bold vision. This is where we're going to get. These are the customers we're trying to serve. This is our stakeholder in this piece of work. And this is how we're going to serve them and our end goal. And that's when you're able to bring others with you on that journey.
So, Mandy, when you coach people, about how long does it take for this transformation in a person to occur? Is there kind of a general time frame that people should look at?
Yeah, and it's a really good question. I think, Lois, the type of individual is really important. Some people come to the coaching space and they're not really bought into what it can do, the transformation it can give them. And I think then you find that it's a longer journey for them to really understand the benefits. I like to coach people for a minimum of 6 weeks, depending on the objectives that they are trying to achieve. So a couple of people I'm working with at the moment, it's really around their leadership style. How can they be more strategic? Those kind of things. A minimum of 6 weeks, but then equally 6 months. Really helps you to hone in on the mindset change, the experiences that people are trying to improve and move people forward hugely in terms of what they're trying to do. And it's great. It's great to see that transformation and then to hear the feedback. I was able to do that. I was able to stand up in that meeting and express myself in a certain way. It's really, really gratifying.
It is gratifying. And I think, Mandy, to your question, I think a lot of times when people come to us, they anticipate that the transformation is going to occur instantly. And so I often am reminded of what Marshall Goldsmith talks about. And when he works with CEOs, he figures it takes them 12 to 18 months to be able to help them make the behavior shifts to really be effective. And I keep thinking to myself, if at that level, with that kind of an expert, it takes 12 to 18 months, we are often very unrealistic about what we're going to do in 6 weeks.
I completely agree. And that's right. So when I work in the corporate space, it's more around those longer term lengths of coaching. Yes, there are certain individuals that come to me with different objectives. Maybe it's a job search or stuff like that, and that's when shorter term elements work well. But I completely agree with you. I think it's really about, before you come to coaching, it's being in a mindset of I'm ready to take action. Because you can coach and advise and support as much as you like until the person is ready to take the action and put their foot forward. Change is not really going to be possible, not at that stage anyway.
So when you think
it's not easy, right, Lois? It's not. It's some of the things. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's not easy. Some of these the challenges that people come to coaching for, are ingrained in them. Things that maybe from childhood or from previous experiences in the workplace, they're not easy things to overcome. So let us not diminish the amount of effort and work it takes for individuals to really embrace coaching and move forward in their journey. And I tip my hat to those who are ready for that transformation.
So what kind of person do you like best to coach? Who are you most effective with, Mandy?
I think those in the corporate space. So for instance, let me just give you an example. So I've just finished up with a client who is interim head of department. And she is potentially in a place where she could take on a role, but she is struggling with confidence issues, unsure on how to lead, and really how to make herself most visible and most powerful in that space. And I think helping people to transition from, I can't do that. I don't like the term imposter syndrome because I think it's just another word for fear. It's just fear dressed up with a fancy word. But, people who are in that space that just really need to see themselves embodied in another way. It's brilliant to see the transformation and the move that can happen. So those kind of individuals, maybe middle managers into executives, I think is great.
Wow. Okay. So people who are really looking, it's fears. Fears are what stops us in so many of our endeavors, isn't it? How do you overcome that fear of, am I ready? Can I do it? Can I step into this role?
Yeah. So for me, it's about the action, and it's about the continuous action. Because fear is something that is in all of us. And I think we all have fear, depending on where we are in our lives, the people we surround ourselves with, whether you could be a senior executive and still be fearful to step into a certain arena with other people, whatever it may be. So for me, it's about understanding where that fear comes from. Is it that you've had a bad experience in a previous role? Is it that you've always felt insignificant in what you are doing? Is it that you don't feel worthy of the space that you are in? So understand where that fear is emanating from. And that's quite a lot of discussion there, Lois, to really dig deep and say, right, when you are in this situation, how does it make you feel? What are the thoughts that come to your head? And then you're able to really think, well, I think that in that situation because I was in that situation 6 months ago or a year ago, and I'm still carrying the baggage. So firstly, understand the why. Where is that fear coming from? And then it is strong, bold, continuous action to put you in that place of fear, not immediately, but on a journey of. So small repetition of those things that we are fearful of will help us to face our fears and then overcome them. And I think, as I always say, it's about really understanding that every step, every action you take will reduce that fear and minimize. That fear will diminish. And I think it's knowing that that helps people move forward.
The interesting thing is, I don't think fear ever goes away, no matter what level you're at. There's always a fear of something. But we have this false assumption that when you have it together, fear disappears.
I completely agree with you. It's just on a different level. We all have fear. It's just the things that we do on a daily basis. And I think the positive about fear is if you use it correctly, it will allow you to strive, right? Allow you to strive for more and push you further. So I would encourage people, and this is what I do, is it's about facing into it and putting yourself into situations where there is fear for you, because that will strive you and stir you on to do better and to be bolder in your action. If we live without fear, I believe that we are minimizing our voice.
The last thing we want to do is to minimize our voice, right? We want to be heard, because you can't move ahead if we're not heard. Our job is to influence.
Yeah, That's right. Yeah, we don't want to minimize our growth, our voice. That's right, because we are here to influence. And I think that's what I really find in terms of the work I do with universities, and mentoring those that are coming through, because they don't have all the answers. Maybe they don't have any in terms of how to build their corporate journey. And I think, it's about empowering them to have a voice and to really know what they want to do, and that anything is achievable. So one of my current mentees, she was struggling with the interview process. We worked through some of that with her. And she was so successful in the interviews for her internship that she ended up receiving about 4 offers, Lois. And it was amazing to see. And I said to her, this is your journey. It's you to make the decision, because she was feeling that she needed to make a decision because someone else said this, or someone else said, no. You make that decision yourself. It's your voice that you need to follow. And I think once we empower people with that mentality, then, there is a lot of success to be had for all of us, and women especially.
And women especially. That is so true. Mandy, our time is almost up. Things we haven't covered that you think are important for people to hear and for you to share.
No problem. I really just wanted to empower people, Lois, in terms of their careers and living big, bold lives. We've got the opportunities out there. We just need to step out there boldly and do it. And that's really what my coaching practice is about.
To stand firm and live boldly. I love that. Stand firm. I think that's the part we often don't talk about, is standing firm. We talk about being bold, but you can't be bold without a firm foundation.
A firm foundation, right? Exactly. And that foundation is about knowing what you want to achieve. And you may not get it in the first round. You may not get it, immediately. But once you have that foundation, it's a great springboard to whatever you want to do and be successful at.
Mandy, thank you so much. You had another quick comment. Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to thank you, Lois. Thank your audience. I think you've got a great podcast. And I've looked around and seen what you've been doing in the marketplace, and it's fantastic. So I'm hoping that I can be just half of the coach that you are. So I really appreciate the platform today.
Oh, you are so welcome. And what a joy to have you on Building Our Legacy podcast today. And to those of you who are listening, we'll have information about Mandy in the show notes, so you can contact her if you would like. And I think many times those of us who are working in corporate positions and we're looking at getting some coaching, it's really nice to know that your coach has that executive experience. So Mandy's information will be in the show notes for you. If you have any difficulty contacting her, let us know. We'll be glad to help you. So please remember also to visit us at buildtomorrow.com with the number 2. That's our website and all of our social media platforms. Thank you so much for being with us. And Mandy, thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Lois.
You've been listening to Building My Legacy podcast with Dr. Lois Sonstegard. To book your appointment with Dr. Sonstegard, visit www.buildtomorrow.com.